All right, we are now live. It is 6:01. I know Molly's probably going to log back in here in a moment when she gets her system figured out, but we'll go ahead and start the meeting. Call to order the City Council meeting of Yelm, July 14th, 2020. And if Grant would put our flag up, we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. There we go. Council, if you'd join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll have the roll call taken by the city clerk, please.
Councilmember James Blair.
Here.
Councilmember Molly Carmody. Councilmember E.J. Curry.
Here.
Councilmember Ted Stillwell.
Here.
Councilmember Tracy Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Joe DePinto.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Kaminsky.
Here.
Mayor J. David Foster.
Here. All right, very good. We could ask someone to approve the agenda.
I move we approve tonight's agenda.
And that was Tracy Wood.
Second.
Second by Terry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's none opposed. So we now have our agenda. We have no special presentations. I'm not sure if all of the panelists can see all of the attendees, but we do have some people from the public here tonight. And we have a quorum of council members, so we can get along with our business. At this point, I don't see any hands raised from the attendees or members of the public who want to participate in the public comment section. And we have not received any public comment by written form. So still just looking for a moment. And seeing no requests for public comment, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which just has the minutes from June 9 and June 23.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
By EJ, was seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we have a consent agenda. So we now have our new business. Item 6 is the construction contract with Swofford Construction. Derek?
Okay. Can you all hear me okay?
And everybody knows Derek? All right. go ahead.
Okay. So before you is a request to authorize Mayor J.W. Foster to award a project for Longmire drainage improvements. Construction contract to Swofford Excavating for the amount not to exceed $149,000. This project, as many of you may be aware of, the soccer fields and the ball field too, has created quite a bit of some drainage problems that have caused the fields to be unusable in many key periods of the year. And so we sought out and hired a consulting firm, Hatton Godat Pantier, to develop some drainage plans to improve the situation out there. And those plans were advertised in a request for proposal on the Nisqually Valley News and the Seattle Valley Journal of Commerce the first 2 weeks in June. And a bid opening was conducted on June 19th, which we received 7 sealed bids. And Swofford Excavating was the the lowest bidder at $149,000. Hatton Goodat Pantier's estimate was $180,000 to $200,000. So this winning bid was significantly below that, and so we're of course very excited to see that. There is currently $170,000 that are in the budget to go towards the Longmire Drainage Improvement Project. So barring any questions, I would ask that you authorize Mayor Foster to award this contract.
Very good. Go ahead and recognize questions from council as they make them known to you.
Okay.
We have Councilmember Blair off camera. Do you have a question, James?
Yeah, thank you. Couple. First, you said that the fields are unusable. Has that actually affected the seasons in which the fields would be used by different teams or leagues?
Yes, it actually has prevented the primary leagues of both the baseball and the football league and their ability to conduct practices during that. And so this has been this has been a problem that the Public Works has been, and the Parks Department has been seeking to resolve for quite a long time. It predates my employment with the city since I've been here 2 years.
Thank you. The other question I have, and I know you mentioned the significant difference in their bid compared to other people, and from what I was looking at, is it on the high end was double or more. I'm trying to understand how that's even possible, and if they're able to do it for the 150, that's great. And I'm obviously I'm all for that. My only concern is, are there any? How do I word it? Is there anything unexpected that you could see happening that could all of a sudden this becomes 300?
No, because this contract is, as it's written, is lump sum. So when they submitted their bid, they reviewed the plans, and their estimate is based upon a lump sum amount. So the probability of, there would have to be some significant unforeseen problems that would come up that would cause this to more than double. If you look at the bids structure, although Swalford was the low bidder at 149, there were the next ones in line were 153, just a little over 153,000, 158,000, 164,000. And there were two of them that came in that exceeded the probable cost at 214,000 and 323,000. So, and I feel fairly confident that we got a good deal with this, and they will be able to provide us a quality product and execute the plans as designed.
Sounds good for me. Thank you.
All right. Welcome, Molly. Molly, were you able to come in enough to hear Derek's presentation, and do you have any questions for him? Okay, then with no further question. Oh, Chad, do you have one? Go ahead.
Yeah, Derek, and you may or may not know this, or I'm sure you can answer it. So when we're requesting these bids, we use the Nisqually Valley News, like print. Is there other mediums that we're using for this? Like, is there a dumping ground for these requests for bids digitally? Seems like
Yeah.
paper would be.
So there, the request for bid is advertised through those two journals. There's the Nisqually Valley News and the Seattle Daily Journal to meet the state contracting laws. But the request for bid is hosted through the Builders Exchange, which those plans then go out to a wide range of them. So the people that I would wager to guess that none of the contractors that submitted a bid found out about it from the Nisqually Valley News. They found it through other means. So
No offense intended, of course.
no, absolutely. It's a very fine newspaper, and we will continue to advertise there.
Very good. All right, if there are no further questions for Derek, the recommendation is in the packet.
Councilmember Blair has his hand up.
I got one more. Sorry.
Go ahead, James.
Real quick, the is Swafford, is that what is? Is that the company?
I believe it's pronounced Swofford, SWOFFORD, Excavating LLC.
I'm just curious, where are they based out of? And if they're not local, were any of the other companies local?
Give me just a sec. I can tell you.
So they're out of Washougal, and I don't know what the location of the other ones is actually.
There was one. There were a couple of them that were from the Olympia and Tumwater, or Rochester area. The other ones were kind of our usual around Puyallup, Northwest Cascade, WS Contractors, which was the contractor that did our splash pad.
Okay, I wasn't sure if there even is a company that's like even based out of Yelm or right around our area or not, but just curiosity.
Todd or Tracy had his hand up first, and then Joe, please.
Everything sounds like it's in line to me, and I'd like to move we authorize Mayor J.W. Foster to award the project to and sign the construction contract with Swafford Excavating LLC of Washougal, Washington, in the not to exceed amount of $149,000. This amount inclusive of sales tax.
Second.
The second was by EJ.
Yes.
Discussion, Councilmember DePinto.
Thank you, Mayor. Derek, I was wondering, it said the estimated construction cost on the RFB was $180,000 to $200,000. I'm just curious, how did the city come up with that estimation?
So that estimation, it's an engineer's probable cost. So the consulting firm Hatton Godat Pantier, from their plans and their knowledge of construction costs, it's their estimate for it. So it came from Hatton Godat Pantier.
Okay, it looks significantly higher than the majority of the bids, so I was just curious. But okay, thank you.
There's a number of factors that go into bidding that you can that contractors can take advantage of it. It's not uncommon for this to happen.
Okay, yeah, my biggest concerns was just with Councilmember Blair being a low 149. I don't want to see like $40,000 or $50,000 in overruns. And so that was just my concern.
Well, again, so out of the 7 bids we had, 4 of them were under the low estimate, and only 3 were above the low, and only two of those were above the 200,000 mark. So again, I think you got a very good deal, and I'm excited to get to work and get this problem resolved.
Sounds good. Thank you, Derek.
Councilmember Carmody.
Yeah, just to put a little bit of perspective on this, intercity transit is also seeing bids come in extremely low because people are hungry for work right now. And so they're like, hey man, we'll drop the price if we can get the bid. So that's what's happening sort of around the state. I don't know if it's around the country, but definitely locally, people are dropping their prices in order to get in there to get some work.
Yeah. Since it was asked twice too, I'll just remind council that if you take a look at these contracts, they're rather lengthy, but there's all sorts of protections put in place under services by contractor, which describes the work completion date and actually talks about change orders and who can initiate them and what the costs would be associated with that. So fairly well protected. The expectation is they'll put in our drainage field at 149,000 and walk away with a little profit for them and a good deal for us. Am I rock on that, Derek?
Absolutely. Very, very well stated.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Mayor Foster.
Yeah, go ahead, James. Sorry.
Just a quick statement, not even necessarily about this in particular, but moving forward, could we hold off on motions until the discussion period is established as being over?
Well, actually, no.
No.
The motion can come at any time a council member feels like making a motion, and it would die for lack of second, perhaps. But once it's motioned and seconded, the discussion can go on until discussion is ended, until you feel comfortable with it. So it doesn't move the action any further. It just sets in place that discussion.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Sure. And so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I heard James. Any opposed? Okay, it's a unanimous. We have authorization to sign the contract. Thank you, Derek, for the report.
Thank you.
We have no old business to attend to this evening, so we're going to go right into updates, and we'll start. If anybody wanted to get a cup of coffee or stretch their legs at all before Michael Graham starts with his updates, that would be a good time.
Rude. Is that a hint? Is he going to be hours?
Go ahead.
You brought your pillow, right, Councilmember Curry?
Yes, I did.
Good, perfect. And then settle in here. We got a lot of things to go over with you. We'd hate for you to have a short meeting, Council. We want to make sure that we're thorough and comprehensive. Now, I'm going to hit the high points of a couple of issues, and then I'm going to send you out a written update on one or probably 3 of these topics. So first of all, just wanted to follow up with you and let you know that the big moment is here for us with the bond refinancing. We have a big meeting on Thursday, about 2 hours, where we'll be going through with the folks that will help us with that refinancing, which when we're done and when we're successful should save us around $2.5 million over the period of several years. And on top of that, it should increase our credit rating. I've not my first rodeo doing this, neither is it Grant's first rodeo. So we're pretty much know how this is going to go, and it should result in good cost savings and a solid credit rating. So I won't belabor the fact because we've talked about this before, but wanted to give you the update that that's all happening this Thursday. Councilmember DePino.
Thank you. So am I reading that right or hearing you right that we're going to have a couple million extra in surplus revenue over the next 2 years?
over the next probably, I think it's 15 or 20 years. It's
Okay.
over the lifetime of the bond.
Okay. I thought you said few years. Excuse me.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying. And then also in other money news, we were successful in getting a grant from the Thurston Regional Planning Council. I think the total is around 580,000 so far. The good news about this is for the Mossman project. The good news is we can then use this grant as match money for more grant money. So fingers crossed, we're optimistic that this whole project could be completely funded off of grant dollars. So really good news so far. Lots of work by those that have served on the TRPC committee and serve on it now and represent us and all the staff. And so wanted to share that update and hopefully more good news to come. Wanted to remind folks that there's one more week in the blood drive. So if you haven't gone over there and donated, please get over there and do so. Also wanted to provide you an update on the CARES Act. I'll send out an email, and I know that Council Member Stillwell and Wood and Curry have been working through these processes, and so I'll leave the updates to them. But just so you know, the short version is the funds for the businesses have been expended. We're just on the home stretch of those distributions. The funds for the individuals through the Yelm Community CARES Act, that has been expended, and the city funds have obviously been accounted for. We could have accounted for more dollars, but in your wisdom, which I think is a great idea, we decided to push that money out to the community. And so we're working through the finishing touches on the grant, which we received from Commerce, and account for those dollars. And we'll wrap up the CARES Act fund. But so far, we've had nothing but success with that program. And I'll leave the details to council members, and glad to send out a comprehensive email to the council on who received what, who was rejected, so that you know. But anyway, more to come in an email with an update from council. But thanks again for everyone's work in making that happen. Councilmember DePino.
Thank you. So there's no way for others to get any of that grant money? That period is closed?
Well, it's not that the period is closed. We had a certain, the way the CARES Act fund is, they allocated a certain amount of money to the city. We presented and discussed as a council, and the general government committee implemented the fixed dollars that we received and proportioned that out. So some of that was to go to reimbursement for the city's expenditures, which is what the fund was intended. And I know you know this. I also know that you love to ask questions that you already know the answer to, that you want me to hear answered to other people. So
yeah, I was referring specifically to the business grants. I forget the exact amount. It was $100 and some thousand. But I was just wondering if that money is completely dry now.
It's not dried, it's been expended. Yeah. So it's been awarded, and again, we're putting the finishing touches on distributing the last of those funds. So,
Okay.
and the general government committee will have more information in their update. I don't want to steal too much of their thunder during council update.
Are you going to be taking that off the website then to apply for business grants?
Yeah, we will as soon as it's completely done.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And so
Michael, can you hold on a second? I think
Councilor
Pat wanted to dovetail in there.
You know, if he's done, I'll just catch it. That's fine. I'll catch it when it's my report.
Okay.
No, go do it. Dive in.
This is all I got. I want to save it. I'm savoring it. Just
Live
wait.
your dream, man. Live your dream. All right. So there you have it, and we'll move forward with authorizing that contract and finalizing that as approved already. Also want you to know, so you are tracking that the trailer that the previous public works record within. Can you hear me?
We're not hearing you very well. Could you try moving your computer or something, or putting your antennas up?
If you kill the video, you'll have a better connection for your audio.
A great idea.
How about now?
No, put the video back. No kidding. Go ahead, Michael.
Kill me. So also in other news, you'll see a shift around the community center. There was a trailer that was put in there temporarily just to basically store all of the equipment that we use in there for the what are they, chairs and tables and things of that sort. It was a god awful table, and it was installed in error. And Cody and the Public Works team are pulling that out of there and replacing it with a shed that is much more conducive to our business standards and will still be functional for us. So for those that have been watching and talking to me about getting that done, know that that is happening right now, and that should be pulled out and removed. Will we maintain functionality but enhance the look and the aesthetics of that area? So that's positive news. With that, the last thing I wanted to update you all on was the essentially just a recreation update. I don't know if some of you are tracking this. I'm sure several of you are, but just in case you're not, there's been new updates that have come out from the governor and the Department of Health as they relate to recreation. And one of the things that we've received requests on is the ball fields. And consistent with the new recreation guidance from the governor's office and public health officials, we are going to allow recreation and competition to return to the baseball fields at Longmire Park. We've got interests from two groups that want to have a tournament there. And we looked at what was required by the governor, what the distance requirements are, and everything else, and the liability requirements, and what other cities are doing. And it was decided that it would be feasible for us to support any recreational entities that complete the required safe start plan, just like we went over with you when we reopened City Hall. They have to do the same thing. Then, of course, they have to, by doing that, adhere to public health COVID-19 prevention guidelines, and they're required to sign a waiver of liability. And this is the approach that is required by the state. And as we reached out to our peers, Lacey, Tumwater, Olympia, Chehalis, and Centralia, they're all doing the same thing. And so we're all going to be in concert, and there should be at least one tournament that we know of that's going to be happening here at our baseball field. And so we're looking forward to that. So if you hear anything, wanted to make sure that you knew that. Then the other thing I wanted to tell you about was the splash pad. The State Department of Health, they haven't updated it since April, and on, I think, end of last week, around July 8th, they came out with new requirements for water facilities. And really there was nothing new on this, but their updates on water recreation facilities do apply to the splash pad, and it still requires that in order to reopen the facilities, and this is as former Councilmember Wood was talking to you about last time, now Public Director Colt was talking about, in order to reopen the facilities, the owners and managers of the facilities, which is us, we must ensure all users maintain a 6-foot distance when using all parts of the water facility, including, and I'm reading from the memo directly, including the water, the decks, the bathrooms, and the communal areas. And we cannot hold or allow activities unless 6-foot distancing can be maintained by all users, which, when we first read that, I was like, oh, this could be good. You got the 50-foot limit that's in there. This could happen. And then Cody and I started to think about it more, and we delivered some bad news to the mayor. We said, unfortunately, Mayor, the 50 person rule is great, but what they say is you have to allow 6-foot distance when using the facility. So Cody, being the math whiz that he is, looked at the square footage of the splash park and then drew 6-foot concentric circles in there, and that totaled up to 8 kids. And so for us to go through the expense and the resources and the hassle of all the other things that the state would require, and try to police 8 kids at a time, going through there, trying to make sure that they maintain that distance, which is required and we'd be liable for, in addition to having them sign liability waivers and everything else. Well, it's permissible. It's just still not practical for us to do this. And we reached out to Olympia and asked them the same thing. Hey, what are you guys thinking? And their perspective, they read their council. And they're not hearing interest of folks from their city staff department, from their legislative body, or for the public saying, yeah, you got to open this thing right now, because they're also understanding it's just not practical, even though it is permissible. So City Olympia and us are still holding to it's not really feasible for us to do without an exorbitant amount of cost and resources going into this. And so we did follow up with that exemption that you that you asked for, Councilmember Blair, to see if we could look into this. And ironically, this was at the exact same time that the public health department from the state issued this guidance. So I'll email the email out to you guys, the guidance out to you, so you can all have it in case you haven't seen it. But wanted to let you know that in the update. So with that, I'll be sending emails out about the CARES Act summary and about the splash pad memo here from public health. And I'll include remarks about some of these other items just so you have them as reference. But be glad to answer any questions. Councilmember DePino?
Thank you. Going back to your tournament, to the baseball tournaments, one of the groups contacted me as well asking for help. And I was wondering, are we going to be ready to host tournaments by the end of the month here? Which was what was hoping their timeline.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and in that end, they're looking at it saying, we just want the kids to get outside and play ball. We don't care what the conditions are. What hoops do we have to jump through? And Cody's done a great job of working with other cities and working with the state and figuring out what those hoops would be. And like I said, we have a path forward that is uniformly being applied with other cities to make these tournaments happen for the kids while still keeping them at a safe, healthy distance.
Okay, thank you.
They can play baseball. They just can't tag each other out. It's really interesting. They can no close proximity.
No pickles.
Yeah.
I'll let them know that.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
If you had the right person help you, since these are children, for the families that wanted to participate, you could make it a game and let the kids line up, and 8 kids come in, they each have their own fountain. 3 minutes later, someone blows a whistle and 8 more kids come in. I mean, you could make it fun for those people that want to attend.
We thought about that, and we thought about taking Councilmember DePino up on his offer to volunteer to do that. But we like him and others way too much to put anyone in that position of policing.
Happy to do that.
8 kids at a time.
I mean, you could try it. Michael?
Hey, if you guys could talk about it amongst yourselves. We're just giving you the facts and the situation as we know it.
It's not impossible for those people that really want to do it. If you're afraid and you're at home, then you're not going to come at all, right? So.
True. I mean, we could put together, some options of what that would look like and what
or we could do like a weekend experiment.
It's not just like turning on the water though and having the water flow and having it be out there. I mean, you'd have to make sure that it's staffed and you do a trial run and the chemicals are tested. I mean, you're turning on a piece of equipment and operating it, so it's not like just turning on the hose for a weekend. But we could outline the steps to reopen it if that's what you would want and what it would look like. But it would come at a cost of several $1,000s. I think can't remember what the public works director put together as a possible budget, but it was pretty high. And the restrictions, as you can see, I'm sure from your own research, are pretty onerous from the state, again, to allow 8 kids to go there at a time.
Is there a way to put something on the website and just see how many people would be interested in bringing their kids to do that? I mean, if there weren't enough people, it wouldn't be worth it, obviously. But if we were inundated with requests, we could do it. Like do a little thing on the website, a voting thing.
I think you're right, Terry. Excuse me, Councilmember Kaminsky. There are a lot of people that want this. I put it out on my Facebook post, and a lot of people respond. There was, I'd say, around 75% or so wanted it, and the other 25 were against it for various reasons. But I like your idea. If you don't want to get, if you don't want to put yourself at risk or whatever, you don't show up. You just stay home.
But what if we could comply with the rules and make people happy and be a community that actually was being, having a good summer?
Yeah, when I've seen at some other locations, facilities, I recently took a business trip to Vegas, and it had circles where you could stand, where you couldn't stand, suggested places where only one person was allowed. You had to sign waivers. There was security taking your temperature with one of those thermometers that were touchless. So there's precautions we could take. But I am concerned too, as Michael and Cody are, with the cost. And if it's too expensive, it doesn't make sense. But if it's you know, if it is even a couple $1,000s to do this, I do think it's worth it after the $1 million that we spent about 2 years ago, and we haven't been able to use it since. So it is, in my opinion, it's
We
worth
could
it.
just put hula hoops where the kids would stand, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's easy.
Councilmember Wood, would you like to weigh in on this since we've just gone into full discussion mode?
You know, I just actually have a question. I'm curious if anybody's talked to the health department about their, I heard someone mention the state restrictions and guidelines, but I'm, you know, ultimately as we know, the county health department has to approve it. So I'm just curious if anybody's even had the conversation with those folks.
Yes, we have, and it's too bad Cody Colt isn't on here. If he is paying attention, he can jump in and provide some details of those conversations. But as I was saying, the restrictions and other areas, the restrictions are spelled out in that latest update that we received from them on July 8th. And if you haven't, I know several of you are passionate about it, so you probably have already read it. But Councilmember Wood, I'll be glad to email out to you and all the council members for you to look at of what those restrictions are. And Cody, why don't you update on what some of those literal hoops that we would have to jump through to make this happen?
So rather than go there with that, I would like that document to be sent out to the council for their perusal, Michael, and then we will take their comments in and put together options for them to consider here shortly. At this point, though, in response to Tracy's question, this is the health department's recommendation to us. It's very clear that in phase 3, although we're allowed to open them, we would have to maintain 6-foot distancing between participants within, which means we would have to fence and do a lot of things. And Cody's done a great job of putting together what that would look like and how much that would cost. So we'll get that out to council for you to look at. And then we know that in phase 4, we're hoping that if we get to go to a phase 4, that they would also relax those restrictions. We'll also have the data then from places that have opened their water parks like Great Wolf and JBLM's water park. And that data could be very informative to us on this and the health department on the safety of opening that particular feature for our public. Councilmember DePinto.
Thank you, Mayor. I was hoping that we could hear from our Public Works Director, Cody Colt, on this issue. It is the one opportunity where the public has to hear from him. And rather than an email that's sent to the council and the public won't be able to see it, I think it's a little more transparent this way.
Cody, you were ready to go ahead and present that?
Yeah. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. So going through all the Department of Health guidelines and everything, there's a lot of hoops we'd have to go through. We'd have to construct a fence. We'd have to hire some seasonal employees to keep monitoring patrons coming in and going out and making sure the distance is enforced. Our guys have to have some overtime for testing the chemicals of the water. So there's a lot of, in that email, we'll have an exact financial breakdown. We did that to show you how much it would be. It would be a pretty large cost for us, and just the feasibility of it's nearly impossible coming from someone who used to teach, trying to tell 8 kids that they can be on the splash pad and the parent yelling at you to let their kid on, and you're telling them they have to get off after 10 minutes or whatever time limit we decide based on the line. It's a recipe for disaster. I'm willing to follow the council's guidelines and what you and the mayor decide, but it puts us in a very bad situation to try to limit 8 kids on a splash pad and telling them they have to get on and off at certain times when we know phase 4 doesn't have those such stringent guidelines. But we will send, and like Michael said, we did construct something to give you guys something to look at for terms of pricing and options.
Yeah, our conversations with public health have been, challenging. I mean, we told them flat out,
You're going to have to get you a better antenna.
It's great you've given us it's not practical for us to implement.
Councilmember Kaminsky, what would you like to add to this?
Well, I was just going to say, would it cost a lot to give it a try, like a 2-week period? And instead of hiring people, we have the Moms Club. And nobody cares more about their kids in the water than the moms. Let's use the people that we have that want to enjoy the facility. And by the time you wait for a study to be done, well, the summer will just be over. So I'm just saying, is there a way we can inexpensively give it a 2-week trial, something like that? Would it be that expensive?
So yes, it would be that expensive because, and here it's kind of ironic, don't you think, that I'm the one who fought so hard to get this splash pad constructed in the first place, and now I'm the one who has to be the bearer of bad news. Because again, the responsibility that I have as mayor is to provide a safe opportunity for our community to use our amenities. And right now, the health department is suggesting that we don't do that. The costs would be the same whether we opened it for 2 weeks or we'd open it for the summer, as far as getting the fencing up and doing all of those things. And ultimately, it comes down to, I don't care who you have out there trying to tell the moms that their kid, their Johnny, can't get any closer than 6 feet to Jill on a splash pad. It just doesn't work that way. And we're not going to use volunteers. We're not going to ask the moms to police themselves, because then we put ourselves in a liability situation that our risk management group would be uncomfortable with us doing. So as unfortunate as it is, going forward with this right now, even in a test mode, is ill-advised. And that's where we're standing on it for right now, until the governor and the health department give us better, safer guidance.
Okay.
Cody, thank you for bringing that up. We'll still send that document out for everybody to take a hard look at what those hard costs would be.
Not a problem.
Okay. Michael, did you have more?
No, sir.
All right. We'll move on to council member updates, starting with council member Blair.
Well, that was fun.
Always is.
So I had the second half of the SWAC retreat last week. Basically, what the retreat is they're laying out, it's the solid waste management plan for the whole county. And I just kind of I took in as much information as I could. The subcommittee regarding flow control is wrapping up their work, and we'll see that info coming out probably the next meeting or two. But that won't even be voted on, from what it sounds like, until next year. That one, basically what it is, and I don't know how you guys are going to feel about it. I kind of have my own feeling on it. It's they mandate that all of the solid waste in the county has to go to the county's landfills or processing centers, even if the company decided it would be financially beneficial for them to go to another facility. Me personally, I have a personal battle with that one. So I mean, I'll talk with you guys more when I learn more about that whole issue. But I'm learning a lot with that committee, more than I thought I would. No other meetings other than that. We got finance committee next, or on Thursday, and public safety is next week. And then, I mean, I'd like to. Okay, I thought I was muted again. I'd like to look at what Michael sends out to everyone, and possibly continue this splashback conversation next meeting. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Carmody.
Not a whole lot here. Intercity transit is tomorrow, so I will have that report at the next meeting. Finance is in 2 days. I was not able to make the public works meeting because I had another meeting scheduled, so I will let Joe take over that. I just wanted to say that I know that I've been talking with some people in the community, and people are really worried about this evictions moratorium. I know that right now we're scheduled to, the moratorium is scheduled to lift August 1st. I'm hearing rumors that this may be extended through March 2021, but nothing is set in stone, and that is literally just a rumor. But I wanted to say that we as a council need to be aware that there are going to be many evictions in the city and in the country around us, in the county. So we're going to be looking at, I mean, what do we do? Do we do anything? Are we going to be asked to provide services for some of these folks who are being evicted. And we're talking entire families at this point, not just individuals, you know, who may have substance abuse problems. We're talking families who are being foreclosed on by the banks or who are being evicted by their landlords who can no longer pay their mortgages and need to have somebody else in there to pay rent. This is just something that we need to think about to keep on our radar. And we need to decide whether or not we should be doing something about it. So I just wanted to put that out to everybody to make sure that we're thinking about that. Thanks. That's all I got.
Thank you. Councilmember Curry.
Let's see, on July 6th, I was with the Southeast Thurston Fire Authority's Building and Bond Committee, and they decided to recommend to the Board of County Fire Commissioners to not run a bond this year with everything that's going on with COVID and nobody working and all that. And on July 8th was the Fire Commission meeting, and they agreed to follow that recommendation. It was a pretty short meeting, mostly what I said at study session about the large call out over 4th of July. And let's see, July 5th through the 12th, or the 5th and the 12th, I was at the senior center to let the Rotary in to do their 10 weeks of backpacking. And they're limiting the number of people that are packing bags. So we don't have as big a group there anymore. The senior center is working on implementing their CIP grant and for new kitchen equipment, and that should start in probably by the end of August. And I was unable to meet the Public Works meeting also, but I did meet with Cody on Monday and got a briefing, and I'll wait and let Joe fill in on that. And I am working on the CARES Act, but Tad said that was his only thing, so I'll let him have that, and that's it.
Thanks, EJ. I'm going back to Molly for a second. Were you planning on attending the NRC's retreat this Friday? It's a rather lengthy commitment of time for that planning process.
Wait, what am I doing?
The Nisqually River Council? Are you aware of their?
I was not planning on going. I can if you guys need me to.
Well, you are our representative to that.
No, Terry is.
Oh, I'm sorry, Molly. My apologies. That's Terry's.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, if Terry can't make it, I can definitely attend. I know it's a Zoom meeting, so you know, if she can't make it, I'll go.
No, I appreciate the offer. We'll see what Terry says, but I just mixed up my committee members. You were on there for so long. Thank you. Councilmember Stillwell.
Yes, I have a somewhat short report. So the General Governance Committee has met over conference calls every day. And then I have had communications with Ms. Kim in finance. And I will tell you, first of all, that she's a rock star. I can't say how much I appreciate all of her efforts in helping me understand the processes, and because I was a little confused on AP, for example, and how we're sending checks out. So just to give you guys an idea, we have $13,000 left, and there are like 5 or 6 businesses that have applied, and they are just checking the business licenses, if they're current and if they meet their qualifications. And so we will be out of money. And so the process is we meet, send it to Kim. Kim does the background, reaches out to them if they're not current on something, multiple phone calls, emails, and really bird dogging that, trying to be sure that everybody's getting what they can. And anyhow, it's been really good. The people I've talked to have really been appreciative. I want to thank Mayor Foster for getting it out really quick. And the whole team of people that have helped with this, including the council, really is really needed. I know it wasn't much money each, but I think that it really has been helpful. I can't say it enough. So that's that report. And we have a very detailed report of who applied, who didn't get money, why they didn't get money, what steps were taken to get them into compliance. So this was not willy-nilly. This took a huge amount of time. I want to thank Councilmember Curry and Wood for taking all of my harassing phone calls, because I was consolidating these things and not being mean to me when I asked a million questions over. So that's it for that. Does anybody have any questions on that? We'll do a really good report on the next meeting once we're finalized with this. Anybody?
Go ahead, Joe.
Just thanks. Just seeing that we get a copy of that report. I'm just curious to the businesses that applied, got it, didn't get it, and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and we're also responding to the businesses too that didn't get it and why, so that it's not, hidden. So yeah, we'll all get that and share it and talk about it.
Gotcha. I had one business owner reach out to me saying that they kind of got it. They received an email from the city that said they need to check on some things, to give them a call. He called them and no one called him back. He says he's called multiple times. Who should I direct him to?
To Kimberly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's doing the compliance, just verifying it, so that we have multiple checks. It's not just the general governance or one person. So that's why it's going that way.
Okay.
So we
Thanks,
have
Dad.
recommendees, and then she does that and reaches out if there's something missing. And then once those things are met, she gives us a graph of where they're at, and then we send them forward. So yeah, she'll
Cool.
take care of it.
Thanks, Chad.
She'll do really good. Yeah, no problem. So lastly, this is super frustrating. So I'm going to say this as calmly as I can. Most of us on council are out in the community, me 16 to 18 hours a day. And yesterday this is not the first time, somebody tell me that there was 2 or 3 council members on council that are nothing more than lip service and no action. That's something to that effect. I will deal with the individual myself personally, and it's not going to be pleasant, but I don't think that is consistent with our organizational culture. I don't think it's professional. I think that this gives the public a good reason to assume that we're backstabbing and not getting along. I will tell you that there are things that each one of you do and that I do that I don't agree with, but I never talk trash about anybody, ever. And I think it's ridiculous that on this council, when we're talking about collaboration and getting together, getting to know each other, it's just crap that somebody would go out in public and say that. I don't care who it's to. You have to understand that our reach is more than just the city council. So think about who you're talking to, be professional, be a man or a grown-ass woman. If you got a problem, come to the individual if they're not pulling their weight. That's all I got to say. Thanks.
Councilmember DePino.
I'm just trying to respond to Councilmember Stillwell on this. I hope it wasn't me that you heard that about, but I know I've heard it from a lot of people on not just similar statements, not directed at anyone. Sometimes they are, but I get that a lot. Sometimes about me. Sometimes people are talking whatever they want about me, and I don't like it. But I mean, it's also the position we're in too as city council members. We're elected officials. If people want to talk crap about any of us, I mean, unfortunately, that's their right. First Amendment and all that. I think that a lot of us on the council have worked hard together and to work better and more conducive in the benefit of all people in Yelm. But I know it doesn't happen. I know we're trying to get this council retreat together next month. And I think that one of the biggest things that's going to do is help team build. I think it'll get us, a lot of us, on the same page on, some of our concerns. I have concerns with some of you, and I know some of you have concerns with me that we don't always agree with each other on. But hopefully we can have this council retreat and come together and actually work better together and actually understand the perspectives that each of us are coming from. Because, I guarantee you my perspective is different from every single one of you, and every one of you is different than mine. And that's what makes this council unique. It's all the different perspectives. We don't always have to be on the same page, but I do agree with you, Tad, that we do have to be cordial with each other, and we have to have that respect. And I don't know if that is happening right now, but I do. I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. This is not the public. This is somebody on council. And I don't know, have you said something negative about myself or 3 other council members, 2 other council members?
Not lately.
Hey,
I have though, Chad. I have said things that I'm not happy with.
I have the floor. So let me just finish. So if you have, or if you haven't, that's your integrity. So I'm not asking you. I will deal with the individual that I know said it. It was not the public. I can take the heat. I don't care about that. I'm talking about the members that I'm looking at on camera right now. If you have a video up, or if I'm looking at your name. I'm saying that this has happened, and I can tell you, I could blast you, I could have blasted many other members, and I have refused to do it because it's not professional, it's not appropriate, and we're all working together. It does nothing.
Councilmember Blair, you had your hand up a moment ago.
I don't know who that's directed at. I don't know what could have been said by anyone. But and I don't know if it was heard from directly from the specific person, but I will say that if it was heard third party, I would talk to that individual and get their side of it. That's my opinion. I mean,
I wouldn't bring it up if it wasn't if it was third party. I'm not in high school. I would not bring it up if it was not from a member directly on the council, and I will bring it up to them individually. So I'm not here to discuss it. I'm just saying that watch yourselves when you're out in public. You are elected. You are held to a higher standard, and it was from council directly.
All right, thank you, Tad. Councilmember Wood. Got to unmute. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Sounds like I missed a pretty interesting week last week. I was actually out of state and was unable to attend any of my meetings. I was not in an area where we had consistent signal enough to attend any via the internet. However, I am back and I'm hearing a lot of information, trying to gather up what's been going on and gain some clarity. Make sure I'm not listening to one person's perspective or one other's, and get a true picture of what's happening here. But you guys, I like you. We're like a family that's squabbling, and this is the wrong time for this. We need to be working together here. I mean, that's the one bonus. We got our little corner of the world here that we do have some control over, at least to a degree, where we can try to all keep on at least to somewhat moving in the same direction, which is hopefully forward. But no, I think we're going to be okay. We just need to learn to communicate with each other and show each other respect, which no matter what your situation is in life, is sometimes not always easy. And the person with the most patience and the most ability to get through it wins, I think. So thank you very much, and that's all I got.
All right, well, thank you, Tracy, and welcome back. Councilmember DePinto.
Thank you, Mayor. Had the Public Works Committee meeting. Because I was the only council member there, though, we just decided to reschedule it. So no new news for Public Works. During the AWC conference, there was a EDC meeting, which I was not able to attend. I wasn't able to balance my work, the AWC conference and that meeting, which I thought I could. So I apologize for that. I am following up with the EDC director, though, so we could know exactly what's going on with that. Councilmember Blair and I are pursuing this privately funded and privately ran secure mailbox program. And so far we got about 17 people and just need a few more and we'll go ahead and make that order. Right now the costs are $104 per person. And if we reach 20 people, and as soon as we reach 20, I'm going to have it open for one more week, just in case anyone else wants to join up. And we'll pick them up. There's actually been people offering to pick it up for us, but I think we can, if need be, we'll pick it up, James and I. And we will deliver them. We will install them if you're elderly or disabled. Sounds like it's fairly popular right now, and it's going well. So I'm excited for that. Other than that, I've got a meeting on Thursday with the library, the TRL library, and with the owner of the Nisqually Plaza. We're just going to do a walkthrough of the location, and it's the location between what was the old QFC's refrigerator unit, which might sound odd, but it's about 14,000 square feet. And it's a little bit bigger than I think it's the 8,900 square feet or so that the current library has. And, of course, I think it's a non-starter if it's more expensive. So I'm going to make sure that it's a good deal for the city and all that stuff before bring it to the council and having some further discussions and seeing if there's anything that we actually want to do, and actually want to move it out. And because we are responsible for the costs for the building, for where they're housed at. And I think they're going to do an article in the newspaper about it pretty soon. So look forward to reading that and hearing some discussions from council on that. And the only other thing, again, I hope it's not me that you're referring to, Tad, but if it is, give me a call, chat it up. I don't criticize people personally on the council, but I do criticize votes. If I disagree with a vote, I talk. If someone asks me about it, I'll talk about it with them. I'm pretty transparent in that sense, but I don't ever talk crap about you or anything like that. I have a lot of respect for you, Tad, and I hope that it wasn't me.
That it, Joe? Councilmember Kaminsky?
Yes, also in reference to Councilman Tad's comments. It's kind of shocking. I didn't hear about that. I don't know anything about it. Could be me he's talking about. I don't know. But I do respect what he's saying. And for those of us like Tad and I, for sure, we are self-employed people, regardless of the issues or anything we agree or disagree with. We have to maintain professionalism. And what I would say would be something like diplomacy, where you just take a higher stand and deal with things off the beaten track. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, Tad. And as for my meetings, I have finance on Thursday, and yes, Friday morning till noon is the Nisqually River Council retreat. I will be there, and you're welcome to join if you want. And Thurston Thrives is off the books for the whole summer, so I don't have anything till next week. I'm just continuing on my merry way with my personal project of beautifying Yelm. And I've had some really good response. I've got, it's my theme of businesses helping businesses. So I've got lots of people donating paint, roofing materials, all sorts of things. And one day things are going to look different. And so I'm just pursuing that one paint can at a time. And also with Michael's help, possibly looking into getting a bid for some city benches and maybe even some extra garbage cans if we feel that we need them, those type of things for just the city core. So that's what I'm doing. That is my report.
I have a hand up from Councilmember Blair.
Oh, and James is helping me as well with the grass. Sorry. Yes.
Oh, Councilmember Kaminsky, I just wanted to let you know, I went by that property today, checked it out. I just want to clarify with you, were you talking about the space between the sidewalk and that fence?
No, not the fenced property, but as you're facing ACU, it's on the right. It's an open field. It's got a for sale sign on it.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
one.
I thought it was, I contacted someone, well, they're going to hit that one between the sidewalk and the fence, and then I'll call them. And
that'd be great too.
I had the wrong property, but
yeah.
The
big Kidder Matthews for sale sign on it. So yes, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that, James.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, so it's been a while. So I just want to catch up on a few things. On the, of course, I went to the Association of Washington Cities conference virtually, along with council members Carmody and apparently council member DePinto got a little bit of that in, but not the whole thing. But that's good.
I got most of mine in.
Okay,
I was a
good.
voting member and I got voted. Yeah.
Okay, good. So we were able to get a lot of work done at the business meeting. We also had I had my Risk Management Services Agency board meeting at the same time as the conference. One of our great presentations is Steve DiGiulio, the lawyer, was able to give us an update on the rules and responsibilities for council members and mayors. All of these are recorded, so if you have an opportunity to tune into AWC, you can look at all of these online. Very helpful. And as Molly had reported earlier, we had some great general sessions on equity and leadership and advocacy. On the 24th, Thurston Conservation District came down to Yelm and put on a special class just for Yelm area residents on composting and backyard chickens and things like that. Very well attended and great presentation. They have a couple of more of those scheduled for the Yelm area, and they did that with grant money they got to specifically reach out to Yelm area residents. So we'll be hosting those when they're in live at the community center. Otherwise, they'll be doing more of those online, and we'll post them on our Facebook page to let people know about them. On the 25th, we said goodbye to long-term employee Pat Clark, and we wish her well in her retirement. A reminder that our farmers market goes from 10 to 3 on Saturdays. They are doing very well with over 350 attendees on Saturdays, doing really well. This particular Friday, Saturday, and this coming Friday, Saturday, we have also had a blood drive that we hosted at the community center. Very good. The first Friday, Saturday, they got over 75 pints of blood donated by area residents. And we're hoping to match that number next Friday, Saturday. So you can go to our website to the donor portal and sign up for that if you'd like to give blood. Also, just a shout out to Church of Living Water. They did a special fundraiser where they used the proceeds from that fundraiser to buy gift cards from local businesses to help stimulate our local economy. And then they took those gift cards and they presented them to various members of the community who have been working hard to make things safe and good in the city of Yelm. And some of those they gave to our city staff and to our police officers, and some for public works, fire department. Very appreciative. At the management team meeting this morning, I introduced the concept, and I see that she's online tonight. We have a summer intern from Yelm Community Schools High School. Cadence Rupert is listening. Hi, Cadence. She is going to be shadowing me and Brianna Feller and learning all about government. And she's doing this through a program set up through a Pacific Pac Mountain Workforce Development and the community school. So glad to have Cadence aboard. Today at the chamber, we had a update on the schools and what they're going to look like in September from Brian Wharton, the superintendent. And I have just a couple of nuggets out that I wanted to share with you about that. Very proud of the fact that despite the pandemic and the shutdown, every graduate who was on track to graduate in June did so. During the pandemic, the school district served 145,000 meals a week out of 11 locations. They gave out 3,300 Chromebooks. They had 92% connectivity with their students throughout all of this shutdown. They're working with OSPI, which is somewhat of a moving target on what school is going to look like, but they believe it will be a hybrid model where students will go to school 2 days a week and they'll be in school online the other 2 days a week with cleaning done in between. And they're still working out the details, but they're going to try to serve every student in the district, which is an amazing task. And that was the update from Brian Wharton. And then lastly, I would recommend that if you have a chance, you drive down to Mill Road, park in the fire department parking lot, and take a look up the hill where the sidewalk construction project is going on. Because we've told people that this sidewalk is a $500,000 project, $450,000, $500,000 project, all of which is being paid by grant money, by the way. But when you say, wow, that sure is an expensive sidewalk, when you go look at the project and you see the amount of construction they've had to do to build the retaining wall, to put this sidewalk in, to make our community safer for our students walking up that road to those two schools, you'll understand how that money gets spent. So the road is closed right now, but you can access that construction site and get a great view of it from the fire department parking lot. And that is my report. Thank you for your patience. And thank you, staff, for your support this week in getting all this done. We have no executive session scheduled, and so I would entertain that motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. See you next week. Thank you, everybody.